I've written the complete story in a reusable writing block. Single dad meets ex-wife by accident on Christmas Eve. Little girl says 2 words that change all. The little girl stood in the middle of the crowded Christmas market, her tiny hand slipping from her father's grasp. Snow drifted gently through the glowing lights above, and for one terrifying second, everything seemed to stop. Then she saw a woman standing across the street. A woman she hadn't seen in years. Her eyes widened. The woman's eyes widened too. And before anyone could move, the little girl ran forward and shouted 2 simple words that would change 3 lives forever. Before we continue, if you believe in kindness, forgiveness, and second chances, please take a moment to like this video, comment where you're watching from, share it with someone who needs hope today, and subscribe to the channel for more heart-touching stories. Christmas Eve had always been difficult for Daniel Harper. 5 years earlier, he had imagined a completely different life. He had pictured family dinners, matching Christmas pajamas, laughter around a crowded tree, and growing old beside the woman he loved. Instead, he spent most Christmases alone with his daughter, Sophie. Not that he regretted having Sophie. She was the brightest light in his world. The regret came from everything else. Daniel was 38 years old and exhausted in ways sleep could never fix. He worked long hours repairing heating systems across the city. During winter, his phone never stopped ringing. People needed warmth, and Daniel was the man they called. The work paid the bills. Barely. Raising Sophie alone had taught him how expensive life could be. School clothes. Doctor appointments. Birthday parties. Groceries. Unexpected emergencies. Every dollar seemed to disappear before he could save it. Still, every morning he got up and kept going. Because Sophie depended on him. And Sophie was worth every sacrifice. The hardest part wasn't the money. It was the loneliness. 5 years earlier, his marriage to Emily had fallen apart after a storm of misunderstandings, financial struggles, and emotional distance. Neither of them had been bad people. Neither had cheated. Neither had wanted to hurt the other. Life had simply become too heavy. Arguments replaced conversations. Silence replaced affection. Eventually, Emily left. At first, they tried sharing custody. But shortly afterward, Emily accepted a job in another state. Promises were made. Phone calls were scheduled. Visits were planned. Then life got in the way. Months turned into years. The calls became less frequent. The visits stopped. Eventually, communication disappeared almost entirely. Daniel never told Sophie the ugly details. He simply said her mother loved her. Because deep down, he believed it. Even when he wasn't sure anymore. On this Christmas Eve, Daniel had managed to finish work early. It was a small miracle. For weeks, Sophie had begged to visit the downtown Christmas market. The annual event transformed the city into a winter wonderland. Thousands of lights decorated every street. Music floated through the cold air. Vendors sold handmade gifts, hot chocolate, roasted chestnuts, and holiday treats. Daniel couldn't really afford it. But Sophie had been especially good all year. And some memories were worth more than money. As they walked beneath sparkling decorations, Sophie bounced excitedly beside him. She was 9 years old now. Old enough to understand more than Daniel realized. Young enough to still believe magic existed. The market was crowded. Families laughed. Children played. Couples held hands. The entire city seemed wrapped in warmth. For the first time in months, Daniel felt peaceful. Maybe Christmas wouldn't hurt so much this year. Maybe they would create new memories. Maybe they were finally moving forward. Then everything changed. It happened near a small booth selling handmade ornaments. Daniel turned briefly to examine a wooden angel Sophie might like. When he looked back, he noticed Sophie staring across the street. Completely frozen. Her expression looked almost shocked. Daniel followed her gaze. And his heart nearly stopped. Standing beneath a string of golden lights was Emily. 5 years. 5 long years. Yet he recognized her instantly. She looked older. A little tired. A little sad. But it was definitely her. For a moment, neither adult moved. Neither seemed capable of breathing. Thousands of memories crashed into Daniel's mind. Their wedding day. Their first apartment. Late-night conversations. The day Sophie was born. The arguments. The tears. The goodbye. Every beautiful and painful memory collided at once. Then Sophie broke free from his hand. She ran across the snow-covered street before Daniel could stop her. Emily looked startled. The crowd parted slightly. And then Sophie reached her. The little girl wrapped both arms around Emily's waist and looked up with tears in her eyes. Mama's home. 2 words. Just 2 words. But they shattered every wall that had existed between them. Daniel saw Emily's face crumble instantly. Years of strength disappeared. Years of regret surfaced all at once. She fell to her knees and held Sophie tightly. And for the first time in 5 years, mother and daughter cried together. The Christmas music continued playing around them. People walked past. Snow continued falling. But for those 3 people, the world had become completely still. Daniel approached slowly. He didn't know what to feel. Anger. Hope. Confusion. Fear. Maybe all of them. Emily stood carefully. Their eyes met. Neither knew where to begin. Eventually, they moved to a nearby cafe away from the crowd. Sophie sat between them holding both of their hands. Refusing to let go. As if she feared one might disappear again. The conversation was awkward at first. Painful. Heavy. Years of silence filled the room. Then Emily began telling the truth. After moving away, she had struggled more than anyone knew. The new job had failed. Financial problems followed. Depression consumed her. Every month that passed made reconnecting feel harder. The guilt became overwhelming. She convinced herself Sophie would be better without her. That Daniel was doing fine. That returning would only reopen old wounds. So she stayed away. Not because she stopped loving her daughter. Because she felt ashamed. Daniel listened quietly. Part of him wanted to be angry. Part of him was angry. 5 years couldn't simply be erased. Birthdays missed. School performances missed. Bedtime stories missed. Christmas mornings missed. Those moments mattered. Yet as he looked into Emily's eyes, he saw something unexpected. Not excuses. Not selfishness. Pain. The same pain he had carried for years. The same loneliness. The same regret. Neither of them had won after the divorce. Both had lost something precious. Sophie listened carefully. Then she did something remarkable. She smiled. Not because everything was fixed. Not because the past disappeared. Because she still had hope. Children often see possibilities adults can no longer recognize. As the evening continued, they walked back into the Christmas market together. Tentatively. Awkwardly. Like strangers carrying shared memories. Sophie insisted they visit every attraction. She wanted pictures. Hot chocolate. Christmas cookies. Everything. She seemed determined to reclaim lost time. At one point, they stood before a massive Christmas tree towering over the town square. Thousands of lights sparkled against the dark sky. Families gathered nearby taking photographs. Children laughed around them. Sophie suddenly pulled both adults closer. A photographer passing by offered to take a picture. The image captured a moment nobody expected. Not a perfect family. Not a reunited couple. Just three imperfect people sharing a fragile moment of hope. For Daniel, it felt like breathing after years underwater. For Emily, it felt like finding a path home after being lost. For Sophie, it felt like a Christmas miracle. As the night grew later, they found a quiet bench overlooking the frozen river. Snow continued falling softly. The city lights reflected across the ice. Daniel realized something important. Forgiveness wasn't pretending nothing happened. It wasn't ignoring pain. Forgiveness meant deciding the future mattered more than the past. That didn't mean trust would instantly return. Trust would require time, effort, consistency. But perhaps healing could begin. Emily looked toward Sophie. Then toward Daniel. Tears filled her eyes again. This time they weren't tears of grief. They were tears of possibility. For years she believed she had destroyed every chance of repairing the damage. Now, for the first time, she saw a doorway still open. Small. Fragile. But open. The following weeks brought challenges. Difficult conversations. Apologies. Boundaries. Slow rebuilding. Nothing happened overnight. Real healing never does. Yet Emily remained present. She called. She visited. She showed up. Again and again. And little by little, trust returned. Months later, Daniel discovered something surprising. His heart no longer carried the same bitterness. The weight he had dragged behind him for years had become lighter. Not because the past changed. Because he finally stopped living inside it. Emily changed too. She stopped punishing herself for old mistakes and focused on becoming the mother Sophie deserved. And Sophie? She flourished. The little girl who once quietly wondered why her mother disappeared now had answers. More importantly, she had hope. 1 year later, on Christmas Eve, they returned to the same market. The same lights. The same music. The same towering Christmas tree. Standing there together, Daniel looked around and remembered the moment everything changed. The accidental meeting. The tears. The impossible reunion. 2 words spoken by a child. 2 words powerful enough to crack open hearts hardened by years of pain. Before we reach the ending, please leave a comment below and tell us, have you ever experienced a second chance that changed your life? As snow drifted gently through the night, Sophie stood between her parents and smiled. No one knew exactly what the future would bring. Life never offers guarantees. But sometimes healing begins in the most unexpected places. Sometimes miracles arrive disguised as accidents. Sometimes the people we think we've lost forever are only one moment away from returning. And sometimes, on a cold Christmas Eve, a little girl's innocent words can remind broken adults that love is stronger than pride, stronger than regret, and stronger than the years that separate us. If this story touched your heart, please take a moment to like the video, share it with someone you love, leave a comment, and subscribe to the channel. Your support helps us continue sharing stories that inspire hope, healing, and second chances. Because somewhere tonight, someone may be waiting for a miracle. And sometimes, all it takes is 2 simple words to change everything. Mama's home. The snow continued to fall. The lights continued to shine. And for the first time in a very long time, 3 hearts finally felt warm again.